Hey there everybody, my name is Dougie and welcome to part 2 of my review of the Italian Trinity of WTF. Now the film I will be reviewing today is called The Legend of the Titanic. That was produced by Mondo TV Studios in Italy, animated in North Korea, probably by child labor no doubt, and released in 1999. Now believe it or not, the previous film which I reviewed, Titanic The Legend Goes On, is actually a cheap knockoff of this film, which was, from what I gather, extremely successful in Italy. So basically, this is a ripoff of that, and that is a ripoff of this. Boy, it seems Italy's animation department can't come up with anything new. And looking at some of Mondo TV Studios' other works, it's a wonder they haven't had the pantsuit off of them. Now, I would tell you a little bit more about this film, but I can't. Why? Because when I was doing my research for this film, there was literally no information about this movie when I was working on this review. There was no IMDb page, and if there is, it is extremely well hidden, no Wikipedia article, and no basic signs that this movie exists apart from chatter on forums and movie posters and the most recent review by the Nostalgia Critic of this film. The only reason why I knew about this movie is because I saw it on YouTube after hearing people talking about it on Titanic The Legend Goes On. But since this film apparently did so well in Italy, maybe it's not as bad as, as everyone else says it is, and maybe the victims of this trilogy went mad from something else. That being said, break out your fanciest suits and garb and your life preserver. This is The Legend of the Titanic.
Once again, there is a huge problem with the film's title like there was with the other film. How can the Titanic be a legend or a myth if it is an historical documented fact? Either way, our story begins with a really horribly executed multiplane shot of what appears to be New York City. This is also suggested by the background music. Just looking at this just makes me hurl.
I'm okay.
Then we move into what seems like a pretty nicely decorated apartment. And then we see, giant freaking mice!
What happened? Did mice somehow evolve to an enormous size and then take over the world? Did they kill us off in the process? Is this even the same universe as ours? I mean, it hasn't even been a full minute yet and I'm already confused. Is this a mouse version of New York, or did the animators just not care? Hey, well that reminds me. Since I played a game last time called Spot the Ripoff, I'll play a new one. This one will be called They Just Didn't Care, where I will mark one for each time something totally illogical and stupid happens in this film where there was no other explanation other than the animators just could not be bothered. So that's one so far.
In any case, the story begins with these grandkid mice talking to their grandfather mouse named Top Connors, who was once a sailor on the Titanic. They want to know more about the tragedy that happened. One of the grandkid mice reads an internet edition article which was published on Mo Day about the tragedy and how tons of people are missing or are dead because of it. But then Connors reassures him that it was just all a big misunderstanding. Wait, what?
The truth of the matter is that those missing persons were never really missing. It's all misunderstanding.
Misunderstanding? How the hell can the Titanic disaster possibly be a misunderstanding? The 1,500 plus people who died, some of which were actually recovered and buried? That's a misunderstanding? Also, there weren't even any computers around, much less the internet, for there to be an internet edition of any news articles.
Anyway, Connors decides to tell them the whole story about the ship after one of the tykes finds a whistle which Grandpa says was used to summon the evil Mr. Ice, whomever he may be. We then flash back to the boarding of the Titanic, where Connors was younger and looked much more like a girl mouse.
Hey, you watch it and tell me he doesn't look feminine with those long curly eyelashes. And once again, we have mice wearing official Titanic uniforms. It's never explained why or how they got those uniforms in the first place. Do the mice have their own White Star Line company or something and just borrow the human ships?
He is helping the mice, who are terrifying looking ethnic stereotypes, board the ship when he encounters two Brazilian mice named Ronnie and Stella, and instantly he falls head over heels in love with Stella, notwithstanding the fact that she looks really creepy with those big, soulless blue eyes.
And I swear to God, Ronnie has the most annoying voice I have ever heard. It sounds like a female version of SpongeBob that's sick with a cold.
So we go up that rope, is that it? I'll die of cold if that happens. Oh no, the rules are fine just the way they are. But we may add a little something to the spirit. I'll show you what I mean.
He traveled to England to play soccer. Why are they calling it soccer? Oh, that's right, because Americans dubbed this film. That's why. And Ronnie is way behind the times because soccer or football was introduced to Brazil in 1884. They just didn't care. We now cut to our human protagonists who are arriving, and to prove that this is a shameless ripoff of the James Cameron movie, watch this scene and tell me it doesn't look familiar.
This is fun.
Go on. Stay in line there, sir.
My dear.
Thank you, Daddy.
There you are. Splendid, isn't she?
Wait, please, rescue! Right here!
Big boat, eh?
Daddy, it's a ship.
You're right.
Italian originality at its best, folks. They just didn't care.
The girl is named Lady Elizabeth Camden, who, along with her father, an extremely wealthy, powerful, and well-known Duke and his new wife, is traveling to America. Why they are traveling to America in the first place is never explained at any point in this film, but I'm guessing it involves her engagement to an eye-patch-wearing man named Everard Maltravers. Gee, I wonder who the villain in this film is.
A curious piece of trivia. The voice actor for Maltravers, Gregory Sneghoff, also voiced Fritz the rapping dog from the previous film. I just hope they don't have a rap number for this one.
Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, it's party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time.
Elizabeth, however, is unhappy at being engaged to Maltravers, as she is repulsed by everything he stands for. That, and he looks more than twice her age.
I'd rather die than marry that horrifying, disgusting old serpent.
What do you mean, old? He's barely 40. Old, indeed.
Very well, Daddy. He's a middle-aged serpent, then.
Elizabeth, don't be impertinent. You have a position to keep up.
Yes, Elizabeth, how dare you express a personal opinion? Never mind that women did not have opinions in 1912.
Her attention is then suddenly piqued by a gypsy man named Prince Don Juan of Andalusia that looks identical to Prince Eric from The Little Mermaid. He is dancing with his dog named Smiley amongst a crowd of his fellow countrymen. Nothing unusual about that now, is there, folks? And you know what? I bet that this is going to be yet another case of, hey, you're pretty, and I'm pretty, let's fall in love. I mean, who would not find such a display appealing? He sends Smiley along to Elizabeth to give her his greetings, and hey, it's Ruffles from Superbook.
More plagiarism, folks.
Smiley steals one of Elizabeth's gloves away and takes it back to Juan, who takes an extremely creepy interest in it.
You're the best hunting dog in the whole world, Smiley. What a heavenly fragrance.
Okay, people, this is the inevitable love interest right here. A guy who sends his dog off to snatch things from young women so he could snip them. You know, he reminds me of that freaky guy from Charlie's Angels.
The two humans look at each other with interest before Elizabeth is whisked away onto the boat by her father. Meanwhile, Maltravers, his bumbling butler named Geoffrey, and two ladies, one of them is Elizabeth's stepmother's sister, whisper among each other about how Juan could ruin their plans.
That young man just might upset our plans.
Quite so. Jeffries, find out who he is.
Did the audience and I just miss something here? What plans? How could he ruin them? I mean, he was just vaguely looking at a lady for 10 seconds and sniffing her glove. I mean, we all know it's creepy, but it isn't ruining any plans for the time being. But then again, at no point is it ever explained just how Juan could ruin the plans in the first place. Thanks for another gaping plot hole, Mondo TV.
Next, we get a view of the kind of humor this film carries. The unsettling kind.
I'm very sorry, sir, but the animal must be kept on a leash. My good man, you happen to be addressing Don Juan Tenorio de Ariarte Gonzalez Leon, Prince of Andalusia. But Prince does not travel with animals, you imbecile! If you have a problem with him, but sir, you have a problem with us first. So be careful what you say. No one tells us what to do, and anyone who dares to attempt such a thing will have us to deal with. Now step aside and let us board. Oh, you wretched beast! I'll get you for that!
Okay then. The dog's pee isn't even colored yellow, and on top of that, the man was just doing his job by saying Smiley needed to be on a leash. Did he really deserve all these threats and humiliation?
When the ship sails off, there is a newspaper boy who shouts out plot-specific information that the audience already knows!
Hi, boys, the Titanic, world's greatest liner, sails today! Wealthy American shipping magnate Everard Marquez asks for the hand of Lady Elizabeth, daughter of His Grace the Duke of Camden.